Imagine this. You're on a boat with your family, enjoying a peaceful vacation in the middle of a bright blue ocean. The sky is clear, waves are calm, and everything feels perfect. But then, in just one moment, everything changes. Suddenly, the ocean water begins to disappear, leaving your boat stuck on the dry, empty seabed. You look around in shock, realizing the sea itself is gone. In that situation, 1,000 questions would fill your mind. Where did all the water go? Will it ever come back? To find out the answers, let's dive into this thrilling story that will keep you holding your breath till the end. The story begins with a family celebrating a boy named Ben's birthday on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean. They had come all the way out here to make this day special and unforgettable. Everyone was happy, laughing, and enjoying the beautiful view of the ocean, but none of them knew that this happiness wouldn't last long. For a while, everything looked normal. While the family admired the ocean's beauty, Ben's mother, Julia, decided to jump into the water for a swim. Ben and his father, Tom, stayed on the deck, busy fishing. But suddenly, Julia felt something strange. It was like a huge creature was circling around her underwater. She looked around, but there was nothing she could see. Then, out of nowhere, something pulled her violently down into the depths. At the same time, the equipment on the boat began to shake and move in strange directions, as if something big was happening under the sea. Ben and Tom were too busy fishing to notice anything unusual. Meanwhile, Julia realized she had drifted far away from the boat in just a few seconds and was now struggling to stay afloat. She screamed for help, calling out to Tom as loudly as she could, but no one heard her. Julia then noticed something terrifying. The ocean water around her was rapidly pulling back, almost like it was being sucked away. She called out to her daughter, Cassie, for help, but Cassie couldn't hear her because she was wearing headphones, lying back and enjoying the sunlight. Neither Ben, Cassie, nor Tom had any idea that Julia had gone swimming. Julia was getting pulled further and further away, her voice fading, but just then, Tom heard a faint cry. He looked up and saw Julia struggling in the distance. Without wasting a second, he jumped into the water to save her. Ben quickly started the boat's engine and steered it toward them. Thankfully, Tom managed to reach Julia just in time and kept her from drowning. Together, they got close to the boat, and Ben and Cassie pulled them both safely back on board. Julia was finally safe. Back on the boat, Tom got angry at Cassie. He scolded her, saying, "Where was your attention? I told you to watch your mom while she was swimming." Cassie apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, Dad. I was listening to music with my headphones on." Tom sighed and said, "From now on, no one goes swimming without telling someone first. If you do, make sure someone's watching you." Everyone agreed with him. By now, the sun had started to set, and it was getting dark. The family began preparing to celebrate Ben's birthday that night. Later, they all gathered on the deck, lit candles, and sang for Ben, laughing and smiling again after such a scary moment. After the celebration, Cassie received a video call from her boyfriend. She smiled and told him how much fun they were having out on the boat, enjoying their ocean adventure, completely unaware of the terrifying mystery that was about to unfold. But then Cassie's boyfriend tells her on the video call that she and her family need to get back to the surface immediately. He says that the news is reporting something very big, something completely unusual that's about to happen to the entire world. Hearing this, Cassie gets a little worried. She looks at the screen and notices a massive storm forming behind her boyfriend's city. It's huge and terrifying. Cassie starts to panic because at that moment, they were in the middle of the ocean, far away from any safe place. She tries to talk to him more, but before she can say anything, the video connection suddenly cuts off. The call ends, and Cassie rushes to tell her parents what just happened. Her family gets concerned and immediately starts checking the boat's safety systems. But while checking, they notice something strange. There are a lot of whales and sharks swimming all around their boat. This is shocking because whales and sharks were never seen in this part of the ocean. Tom, who was once an ocean explorer, instantly realizes what this means. He knows that when sea creatures behave like this, it usually happens right before a huge and dangerous storm. They could already tell something bad was coming, but before they could even prepare, they had to deal with the sharks first. Before they could react, something hits their boat hard from underneath. The whole boat shakes violently. Everyone panics. Tom realizes that some huge creature has crashed into the bottom of the boat. To check what happened, he quickly dives into the water. When he looks down, he sees a massive dent on the lower side of the boat, something that only a giant shark could have caused. When Tom climbs back onto the boat, he's bleeding badly from his shoulder. The shark must have hit or grazed him underwater. Julia quickly treats his wound and stitches it up. Tom then tells his family that because of the shark's hit, the engine is now badly damaged. They won't be able to move the boat anymore. They are completely stuck in the middle of the ocean. Their only hope now was to call for help. Cassie tries to make a phone call, but she soon realizes there's no signal at all. The boat's communication system isn't picking up anything. No radio, no satellite, nothing. They all start to panic. Everything around them has suddenly gone silent. Tom then checks their food and water supplies. They only have enough to survive for about 4 days. After that, Nothing. The only small hope they had left was that they were near a shipping route. Maybe a passing ship would see them and come to help. But just then, they hear a loud booming noise from outside. When they run out to look, they see something massive, a huge meteorite, falling straight toward them from the sky. It's coming fast, and it could destroy them in seconds. To avoid the impact, Tom quickly starts the boat's damaged engine, even though he knows doing that might completely ruin it. He pushes the boat as fast as it can go, and just in time, they manage to move out of the meteorite's path. But as expected, the engine completely breaks down afterward. They're safe for now, but their boat is no longer working. Looking up, Tom realizes that those falling objects weren't just meteorites. They were actually broken satellites crashing down from orbit. That's why all communication systems, radio, phones, everything, had stopped working. Before they could even recover from that shock, another meteorite started heading their way. This time, there was nothing they could do. They quickly rushed down into the lower cabin of the boat and put on life jackets, hoping that even if the boat flipped over, they wouldn't drown. As they waited, the boat started shaking violently, rocking harder and harder with every second. The sound of crashing waves and roaring wind filled their ears. The family looked at each other, realizing this might be the end. They held on tight, unsure if they'd survive the next few minutes. Suddenly, they all heard a loud explosion, and everything went black. When they finally opened their eyes, they realized they were still alive. They had a few injuries, but somehow they had survived. The strange thing was that their boat was full of holes, yet no water was coming inside. Confused and shaken, the family stepped out of the cabin, and what they saw outside left them completely stunned. There was no ocean beneath their boat anymore. Instead, their boat was sitting in the middle of a dry, rocky land, surrounded by scattered fish lying lifeless on the ground. It looked like they had landed in another world. Everything around them had changed completely. Just last night, this place was covered in deep blue water, and now it looked like a desert made of mountains and craters. But soon, Tom realized something unbelievable. They weren't in a desert. They were still in the middle of the ocean. The entire sea had somehow shifted away to another place. Tom quickly took out his compass to check the directions, and that's when it hit him. Something massive had happened to the Earth itself. The planet's magnetic poles had reversed. The North Pole had switched places with the South Pole. Because of that, the ocean water had moved across the planet, flooding the land that people once lived on, and leaving behind a dry seabed where they now stood. When Tom explained this to the others, everyone was shocked. He also told them a terrifying truth, that everyone living on land must have already died in the disaster. Hearing this, Casey broke down completely. She locked herself inside the cabin, crying endlessly, because she knew her boyfriend was gone forever. Meanwhile, Julie started collecting whatever little food they had left. Their son, Ben, released his birthday balloons into the air, hoping someone, anyone, might see them and come for help. Tom then tried to contact someone through the radio, though he didn't expect any response. But to his surprise, he heard a voice. It was a man named Captain NATO. Captain NATO said he was inside a submarine and had also witnessed the same strange ocean shift. Tom asked him desperately, "What should we do now?" The captain gave them news that made their hearts stop. He explained that the Earth's poles would shift back to their original positions within a week. That meant the oceans would return to where they used to be, but when they did, the waves would be unimaginably powerful. Captain NATO warned Tom, "I might survive because I'm underwater in a submarine, but you and your family need to find high ground, as high as you can. That's your only chance to live." Hearing this, Julie immediately told the kids to start packing their things. Tom then asked the captain, "Can you take my family with you inside your submarine? They'll be safe there." The captain sighed and replied sadly, "Brother, I wish I could, but I can't. One of my crew members just died, and now there's only room for 2 people in here. I'm sorry." The captain says, "I can take one person inside, but even then, one of you will have to stay outside." Hearing this, Tom begs him, "Please, take my 2 kids somehow. In return, I'll give you all the food we have left." The captain thinks for a moment and finally agrees. He gives Tom the exact location of his submarine on the map and explains how to reach it manually. After checking the map, Tom tells his wife, "If we travel continuously, we'll reach there in 2 days, before the ocean water returns. That means we can save our kids before the waves come back." The next morning, the family packs everything and gets ready for their journey. As they are preparing to leave, Tom notices a strange man walking toward them with a dog. The man looks injured, so Tom decides to help him. He takes a bottle of water and walks over to him. But as soon as the man drinks the water, instead of thanking Tom, he suddenly attacks him. Julie sees this from a distance and screams. But before she can do anything, the man stabs Tom with a knife and kills him right there. After killing Tom, the man starts walking toward Julie. She is terrified, but quickly runs inside the boat. She locks both her children safely inside the cabin and hands Casey a flare gun. She tells her, "Use this only when things get really bad." Before they can plan anything more, the killer reaches their boat. Julie hides inside the bathroom while the man starts searching every corner of the boat. He soon finds their food and begins eating like a starving animal. It's clear he hasn't eaten in days. After eating, he starts looking for Julie. He walks toward the cabin after hearing a noise, but when he opens the door, there's no one there. Julie had already escaped through a hole in the boat's side, but the man's dog spots her hiding outside and starts barking loudly. To stay hidden, Julie has no choice but to silence the dog. She kills it quietly and hides under the boat. When the killer finds his dog dead, he realizes Julie Julie must be outside. As he climbs down from the boat to find her, Julie quickly sneaks back up. She climbs aboard and uses a broken glass panel to make her way back inside, but her luck runs out. The killer catches her. He grabs her by the hair and starts hitting her brutally. Then he begins to choke her. Julie fights back with all her strength, trying to escape his grip. Casey, watching everything from the cabin window, suddenly remembers the flare gun. She points it at the killer and fires. The flare hits him hard, throwing him backward. He falls to the floor, but he's not completely dead. Still, the fire from the flare starts spreading, setting the boat on fire. Julie takes this chance, grabs her children, and runs out of the burning boat. But as they're escaping, the killer attacks again. Julie kicks him hard, pushing him back into the flames. Outside, Casey and Ben see their father's lifeless body lying on the ground. They run to him and start crying uncontrollably, realizing they've lost him forever. They never expected any of this to happen. Ben blames himself for his father's death. He says, "If I hadn't released those balloons, that man wouldn't have seen us and come here." Julie holds her husband's body, crying in pain, when suddenly she sees the killer coming out of their burning boat, still alive. Now she knows they can't stay there any longer. She grabs both her kids and starts running as fast as she can. A few moments later, their burning boat explodes behind them. While running, the three of them become completely exhausted. They hide behind a rocky hill to rest for a while, thinking maybe the killer has finally stopped chasing them. Ben keeps crying uncontrollably. Casey tries to comfort him and gives him some clean water to drink, but Ben refuses to drink it. Julie hugs her son and tells him softly, "It's not your fault. You released the balloons for help, not for this." But just as she says that, Julie spots the killer again. He's still following them. Terrified, they get up and start running once more. They run and run, barely able to catch their breath, but every time they look back, the killer is still behind them. They don't stop even for a second. Finally, they reach a strange area filled with toxic water. Crossing it could kill them, but there's no other way. They slowly make their way through the acid-filled water. By the time they reach the other side, they're badly injured. Julie notices that Ben looks weak and dehydrated. She takes out the last few drops of water they have and gives it to him, but it's not enough to quench his thirst. Casey starts losing hope. She says, "Mom, maybe there's no submarine where we're going. What if it doesn't even exist?" Julie snaps at her. "Stop it. Don't talk like that. Just do what I say. We'll keep moving forward, and I promise I'll save you." Following her words, they continue walking. Soon, they find the wreckage of an old airplane that must have crashed into the ocean years ago. They decide to hide inside the plane for the night. Julie takes out a family photo, the one they took last night when everything was still fine. They look at it and remember Tom, feeling the pain of how much their lives changed in just one day. It's now night, and they're all completely drained. Casey and Ben fall asleep, but later, Casey wakes up when she hears strange noises outside. She peeks out and sees the killer is back. Somehow, he's still alive and coming toward them again. Casey realizes they have to end this once and for all. She quietly pretends to stay asleep while the killer slowly approaches her. Just as he bends down to attack, Julie suddenly appears from behind and strikes him hard. This time, she's full of rage and refuses to hold back. She keeps attacking him again and again until he finally stops moving, dead for real this time. The danger is finally over. Julie collapses beside her kids, exhausted, and falls into a deep sleep. The next morning, when they wake up, they see the killer's body lying nearby, but it's been torn apart horribly. Something has eaten him from the inside. Seeing this, they realize there are dangerous creatures living nearby. They must hurry and reach the captain's submarine before it's too late. Julie checks her map carefully, while Ben wanders off searching for water. A little ahead, he finds a puddle and without thinking starts drinking from it. Julie had warned Ben not to drink that water because the pond was poisonous, but Ben was so thirsty that he didn't listen to her. Julie saw him and ran to stop him from drinking, but by that time, he had already drunk quite a lot. After a while, Ben became very sick and couldn't even walk properly. So Julie and Casey decided to make a small shelter nearby so they could rest for a bit. While they were resting, Julie suddenly heard some strange noises. When she went outside to check, she saw that a huge number of crabs were crawling toward them. To save themselves, all three started running as fast as they could. After running for a while, they spotted a large ship in the distance. It was a cargo ship filled with big containers. Inside those containers, many people were already hiding. When those people saw Julie and her kids coming, they quickly went back inside their containers and locked the doors. They weren't running away from Julie. They were scared of the crabs chasing behind them. Julie and her children ran to the containers, begging and pleading for someone to open the doors, but no one helped them. Behind them, the army of crabs was getting closer and closer. With no other choice left, Julie and her kids decided to climb up on top of one of the containers. Julie helped both her kids climb up first. When she tried to climb up herself, one crab bit her leg. Somehow, she managed to pull herself free and climb up, but her leg was badly injured. She tied a scarf around her wound to stop the bleeding and then fainted from the pain. Meanwhile, Casey and Ben saw that the crabs had started breaking through the metal walls of the container. Once they got inside, they attacked the people hiding there. Those people tried to fight back using whatever weapons they had, but the number of crabs was too high. One by one, all the people inside were killed by the crabs. The next morning, Julie finally woke up. When she looked around, she realized her children were missing. Terrified, she thought something bad had happened to them. But after a while, she saw Casey and Ben coming back from a distance. They had gone out to find food, water, and weapons. Thankfully, the crabs were gone by then. Julie cleaned and treated her leg wound, while Ben started collecting weapons from the dead people inside the container for their protection. They also found a little bit of food to eat. After that, Julie managed to contact the captain through the radio. The captain told her that he had also been attacked by those same creatures and was badly injured. He said he couldn't come to help them. He also warned Julie that the seawater would soon start rising again. That's why all those sea creatures had returned. Hearing this, Julie started crying because they didn't even know which direction to go to reach the submarine. During all the chaos of the night, their map had been lost. To help them, the captain fired a flare gun into the sky, and Ben saw the light. But the location was very far from where they were. Still, they didn't give up. Julie, Ben, and Casey began moving quickly in that direction, trying to reach the submarine. But getting there wasn't easy. They had to pass through a rocky path filled with dangerous obstacles before they could finally reach safety. While passing through that rocky path, they knew there was a big chance they might face those deadly crabs again, and this time, it could cost them their lives. Casey began to feel sad for her mother. She thought, what will happen to Mom? The captain will only take me and my brother inside the submarine, but what about her? Julie looked at Casey and said softly, you don't need to worry about me. When we reach the submarine, we'll decide what to do next. For now, we just have to keep moving. So they continued walking, but once again, their luck turned against them. Suddenly, a landslide started. Large rocks came crashing down the mountain. One massive boulder rolled right in front of Julie, blocking her path and trapping her behind it. Casey refused to move forward without her mother, crying that she couldn't leave her there. But Julie made her promise, saying, you must survive. Take your brother and go, no matter what happens to me. With tears in her eyes, Casey followed her mother's wish and took her brother toward the submarine. When they finally reached the submarine, they couldn't find anyone there. They started banging on the door, shouting for help. That's when the captain appeared from behind. He was badly wounded and bleeding. The captain told them, listen, the submarine can only carry 3 people, but I'm too injured to survive. Even if I reach the surface, I won't make it. You two must go without me. Hearing this, Casey's heart sank. She quickly turned back and started running toward her mother again. Meanwhile, another wave of deadly crabs was crawling in from the dark. Julie was still trapped, shooting at them with her gun. She managed to kill several of them, but soon her bullets ran out. Just as one of the creatures was about to attack her, Casey reached there and stretched out her hand from above. Julie grabbed it, and with her daughter's help, she pulled herself free. The 3 of them ran as fast as they could back toward the submarine. The crabs chased them all the way, but somehow they managed to get inside just in time. Without wasting a single second, they sealed the hatch and started the submarine. But before they could feel safe, they saw something terrifying. A massive ocean wave, hundreds of meters tall, rushing straight toward them. It looked unbelievably powerful. Within seconds, the giant wave slammed into their submarine, shaking it violently and knocking all of them unconscious. When Julie finally woke up, she was shocked to see that their submarine was no longer underwater. The massive wave had carried it far away into a destroyed city on land. Everything around them was in ruins. Buildings were collapsed, streets were flooded, and there was no sign of human life anywhere. It was clear that the world above had been completely wiped out. And with that haunting scene, the submarine resting silently in a ruined city where no humans remained, the film came to an end.